Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Eve Echoes. We've been doing a lot of critique reviews and all that lately, but honestly, we kind of forgot the point of Eve, which is actually playing the game and enjoying it. I think it's due time that we add some proper content, and, you know, we used to do some cool fits and teach you guys how to fly some stuff, and, well, we're going to try to get back to that. Somebody asked me in the comment section, what are you still flying? I mean, I still have the Dominix Fit that you used to present, and honestly, I've been searching all over the YouTube about new fits and new stuff, and practically everything is so fucking old, and we don't know if it's still usable or not. Well, is there something new that we might use? Well, yeah. I think this is the perfect time to do such a video. I'm here with the Dominix 2, and this does not apply only to the Dominix 2. This thing that I'm about to show you can apply to any kind of ship well, that has enough low slots for you to enable weapon upgrade cycling. Yeah, that's the main topic for today. But we're going to serve as an example the Dominix 2. This can be achieved with the Dominix 1 as well, of course for budget reasons, and of course you can do it with any other ship, or any other battleship for that matter. Now the thing I like most about drone battleships is that they have instant damage application, and it sort of behaves like the rest of the battleships, which have like lasers or rail guns, and not missiles, no. So, just as a disclaimer, this is not a fit that you might use, let's say, in nullsec. This fit is mostly intended for players that are, I don't know, kind of casual, just running in Highsec, and, you know, doing stuff that any player might do in with a couple of hours of playing per day or every 2 days. Because, yeah, casual players don't have time to sit in-game with their eyes constantly glued to their phone 8 hours a day. So I think with 1 hour playtime, if you're sitting in Highsec or lowsec doing expert missions, because I'm tech level 10, this also can be applied to tech level 8, tech level 9, but yeah, tech level 10 should be the way to go because they have decent rewards and the NPCs have decent bounties, and you might just find yourself a spot. There are a couple of spots in Highsec and lowsec where you can just sit and accept missions, like 8 of them, that just get you to the same system, and you just don't need to move anywhere else, and you just go and sit there and you activate each mission and you go to each mission and you do them quickly. And this also helps with the Concord Pass. Of course, you just need to recycle your missions, so the Concord Pass will feature like get bounty, get bounty, get bounty, kill some NPCs and all that. And I know, in nullsec, yeah, you can have ticks for like 20-30 million in 20 minutes. That's the time interval in which the bounties are being calculated. But again, you need to understand that bounties are calculated per system. So if you are doing ratting inside a system and you switch to another, then a new cycle begins, and at the end of the 20 minutes, the new bounties that you've been accumulating in the new system will not be added up to the system that you were before, so you'll get 2 separate ticks. Yeah, that's just the way it works. So the main point of this is to just get a bunch of missions, expert preferably, which handle over around 2.5 million or 3 million, some of them even 6, 7, 8 million. Of course, there are those that are hard expert, in which you get like the 30 million rewards, and you get to encounter like an elite NPC or several elite NPCs. And that's also cool, but that poses a bit more difficulty, even for a brawler. But people might say, well, Gica, why are you using like battleships? We're using faction cruisers, faction battleships, strikers, and all that. Well, so this tactic might be applied to some of the ships you own and you constantly fly, but this is more like a budget version. For example, if you just take the Dominix Mark 1, like the standard Dominix, it would just cost like, I don't know, 300 million. It doesn't cost 1.4 billion as an upkeep. If you lose it, you're gonna shoot your brains out because, oh, whoops, I forgot to make some insurance deposits and now I have to pay the full price. Yeah, this tactic can be applied to standard battleships as well. So, get an area where you can farm tech level 10 if you're sitting in Empire. If you're sitting in all sec, this video is probably not for you. But if you're sitting in Empire on a low sec and you want to make like 15 million, close to 20 million per tick, that means around 50 million, yeah, around there per hour. Sometimes even more, depends on the quality of the missions you get. You just have to follow some specific rules into fitting your ship. First of all, yeah, if you're going to sit mostly AFK while you're in board meetings or whatever you do at work, and you just need some interaction to just fly in some place and just click on the lock all targets from time to time, then this is the fit for you. And I know most of you guys are already pointing that finger at the bottom rack of my fit and you're saying, oh my god, he's got 6 damage amplifiers, he's gone cuckoo, he lost his marbles, we should quit this video. No, not entirely true. Well, weapon upgrades, you see, they have a specific kind of perk. You need to activate them. They differ from Evil Line, and you need to activate them, and you get like this insane amount of boost when they're in use. While they're just being sitting there like passive, you still get some boost. Like for example, the drone damage amplifier gives you around damage bonus 5%. This is passive bonus. So let's say I have 6 of them. Only 3, let's say the 4th, also will be taken into consideration, but the rest of them are just completely useless. But guess what? Because I'm using a snipe fit with instant damage application with sentry drones, what happens when you activate them? Well, if I activate them all 6, well, I'm just going to be in the same situation. Only 4 of them are going to give me the boosts. As long as you keep having the same kind of item. There's this term called diminishing returns. You've probably heard it before in other MMOs, also in World of Warcraft. The more you have the same kind of module or item that gives you the same kind of bonus, they don't stack up, so they get cut in half constantly until you end up with 0. But the thing is, in Eve Echoes, there's this interesting way of cycling your modules. So for example, I'm here with all 6 Federation Navy drone damage amplifiers, and all 6 give me 5%. No, of course, just the first one gives you 5%, the rest of them just get cut and cut and cut until you get close to nothing. So what happens when we activate them? So let's do a quick comparison on the fitting screen. So by default, just having all 6 of them, I have 1600 DPS instant application damage with my sentry drones, and I'm using, of course, the Caldari drones, the sentry drones, because, well, they have longest range and they're actually really good. You just need to warp at 90 kilometers, I prefer 85, and deploy the sentry drones, lock up all the targets, and then just start the slaughterfest, and most of the frigates just pop in one. And why I have no tank? Well, because nothing gets to me. Everything just dies immediately after the spawn if they're small stuff, and, well, I don't know, the battle cruisers and battleships, they die quickly, yeah, with this fit, but they die quickly because of what I'm about to show you next. So, I have 6 of them. Now, what does it mean that you need to cycle? Well, each of this module, let me just bring up the information panel, okay, because I have a specific set of skills, just like Liam Neeson, I have 36 seconds activation time. You can improve this timer by learning the turrets or the drones skills that you have. This also applies to the damage amplifiers of the rest of the weapon types, like the lasers and the railguns and the cannons. So if you look at the expert sections, you will see that you will get 1-2 seconds extra per level, and that is how you increase this specific activation timer, and it allows you to keep those modules active even further on than the standard. I think it's like 20 seconds by default. So I've increased, and I'm not full skills on drones yet, I'm still doing that. I have 36 seconds on my damage amplifier modules. Yeah, let's try to generalize this. So what happens when I activate one? Well, if I look at the fitting panel, I see that I have 1600. If I activate one, I will have a 2000 DPS. What happens if I activate the second one? Well, I will have 2400 DPS. And I can even activate the third one, and it will still give me a boost, and I'll be reaching 2700 DPS. So that's just an extra 300 DPS. It's not much, but it's good in a pinch. Now, for the fourth one, it doesn't even matter anymore. So, for example, if I have 2700, as you can see, it just increases by 100 DPS. And if I activate the fifth one, it's just going to be even lower. For example, with 5, sorry, I think one went away. It's going to be just an extra 50 DPS. So they all get cut in half and half until you get to nothing. But what happens when you toy around with the cycles of these modules? And I think I've talked about it in a previous video, but hear me out. So I have I have 6 of these modules fitted on the ship. Now I have a 30 seconds activation time. Let's say 36 seconds is too much for average Joe player, but let's say 30 seconds should be tangible with some decent skills. So 30 seconds per damage module upgrade, and you have 6 of these items. Now, with 3 of these items, some of you all may already know that you can have 3 of them and cycle them one by one, because one lasts 30 seconds, the second one will last 30 seconds, and by the time the third one will finish up its 30 seconds, you will have the first one being back to activation capable. What I'm talking about, if I'm activating the first module, then I'm waiting for its cycle to finish. That's going to cost 30 seconds, and it will enter a cooldown of 60 seconds, and then I can activate the second one, and the second one will give me 30 extra seconds. Meanwhile, the first finishes 30 seconds of its cooldown, and by the time I reach the third and finish the third, the first module will have finished its 30 seconds cooldown cycle, and it can be activated again. So you can basically have your permanent damage increase by just cycling through the modules one by one. Click one, wait for it to finish, activate the second one, wait for it to finish, and then activate the third one, wait for it to finish, and you can go into this awesome loop, in which by default, if you have like 1400 DPS, and with one such module your damage will increase to 1800 DPS. By having 3 of these modules, you'll just be recycling your DPS, and you'll have 1800 DPS constantly. So what I did was I actually extended that let's say practice, but instead of having 3 modules of that type and cycling through each of those, I have 6 modules of this type, and I'm cycling through 2 at a time. So by default, I have a 1600 DPS. So I cycled through the first 2 of the 6 items, and now my DPS is 2400 DPS. Now, if what I said is correct, and you'll see it is correct, after these 2 modules finish their cycle, I'll just activate the next 2 modules. And while the next 2 modules are running, the first 2 modules will be sitting in cooldown and will have elapsed some time by the time the second modules have finished. So this is batch number 2. I'm still at 2400 DPS. It's the same DPS because I have 2 damage modifiers active, duh. And the initial 2 modules are in cooldown right now. So by the time the second batch finishes, my initial first batch will have elapsed around 50% of its cooldown. And right now, I just need to cycle through the third batch of my damage amplifier modules. And just about now, I have yet again 2400 DPS. Yeah, it's not going down. As long as I have 2 damage modifiers active, it's going to be the same DPS. It doesn't matter if I have 6, 8 or 10, it's just going to take those 2 in consideration as the primaries, and of course add the secondary ones and as in boosts and bonuses until they get diminished completely. So as you can see, because I have 36 seconds instead of 30, the first batch of modules is already recycled, and immediately after the third batch is finished I can just activate the first batch again, and I'm just running like crazy at 2400 DPS, and it's going to go down, and I'm just using this to recycle and constantly apply instant damage in the form of constant boosting. Now you can also do this by having, instead of 2, just using 3. Yeah, it's going to cost you a bit, but this is why when I told you about the skills, you know, to increase the activation time of the damage modifiers, this is where it comes into play, or at least a good use of that specific bonus of activation time increase, because you can use this to your advantage, and instead of cycling 2 items, you can cycle 3 items. So I have 6 of them, and I can cycle 3 items, and by the time the first batch finishes, I'll activate the second batch of 3 items, and I'll constantly be sitting at around 2700 DPS. Now, you're going to have some dead timers, but those dead timers can be used to get rid of frigates, can be used to get rid of destroyers and cruisers, because usually they have a low signature and you're not going to blind at full damage anyway. So by using the frigates and cruisers and destroyers, getting rid of them first and allowing your items to fully cool down, at least cycle some more seconds into their cooldown, then you'll basically be able to take down the battleships into one clean swoop by using 3 of the damage modifiers, and when they shut down you just activate the next batch, and so on. And it's actually amazing. As I mentioned, you can get ticks of 15 million just like that, and you're not even doing nullsec content. And honestly, if you're a casual player that just likes to enjoy the game from time to time and just farm a bit and then, I don't know, aim for something, do some exploration, this is how you've, or if you're like me and you fuel your own PvP and you just hit the mission panel, you get some missions, you go there, you walk to 90 kilometers, and I think we can actually prove this. It's pretty simple. We have a security threat, we're just going to warp at 84. There's a bit of problems with the NPCs. Sometimes they spawn pretty far away from the beacon, and sometimes, yeah, you get them at 100 and 100
warp drive active
range, but that's okay. You can just allow them to come a bit close and then just get rid of them. Or, you know, in tech level 10 expert missions, you have the destroyers and the interceptors that it will just zoom towards you. Those are pretty much the targets that needs to die first. You have no tank, you don't need tank, you just need to get rid of your stuff fast. And we'll soon talk about the rest of the fit, but just as a quick demonstration, so I've reached this point, and all the NPCs are just sitting there and they're going to attack me in a moment. So I'm just going to start taking out the cruiser. I have no idea what to fit on the mid slots. I'm just sniping range, and I just placed some 3 target painters. As you can see, we just keep melting stuff, and we haven't even used our damage amplifiers yet, but we're going to start soon. Let's get rid of all the frigates and all the stuff, and let's start cycling the modules. As you can see, the battlecruiser is melting pretty fast, and I'm dealing quite a bit of hefty damage. By the way, this DPS 2700 is actually the DPS of a carrier using anti-frigate drones. So it's good. It's actually good. You can finish up multiple missions in a short time span, and you can actually get some ISK to, I don't know, fund your PvP or get some nice ships, like go into faction stuff, or I don't know, maybe you're into exploration and you want to get that Astero, or you want to get that Stratius. It's all into how you're flying the ship and how you understand how the ship works and how the mechanics work of the modules, and how you can, let's say, trick the system to get the most out of your fit and ship. So I'm just taking down the battleship. Now let's take a look at the rest of the fit. As I mentioned, the mid slots I had no idea what to fit. The high slots, I figured sometimes the NPCs spawn around 70 kilometers. I have some skills in missile, so I'm just going to take them down. I have a I think 75 or 80 kilometer range with large missile launchers, so it's actually pretty good. The damage adds up. I'm cycling again, and just have a little time for the modules to wait for them for the cooldown to finish. Everything is pretty much just straightforward, and it's streamlined, and it's actually practical and of good use. If you want to farm fast, this is probably the way you want to do it, where you can just activate everything. As you can see, the first batch finished, and I have only a couple of seconds left on the second batch. I might just activate them. I can wait for the 36 seconds cooldown to reach on the first batch, and then I can activate them again. Or I can just use 2 at a time, and that's going to keep me constantly at 2400 DPS. Now, in terms of the rigs, there's not much to talk about. I have just one rig for range because I want to be able to shoot stuff at 90 kilometers. Even with the Dominix 1 and Dominix 2, you won't have the proper range. But the rest of the items are just like a drone firepower and a drone speed augmenter. You might just go for 2 drone speed augmenters, but keep in mind that the modules, the damage amplifiers, also give you extra bonuses in rate of fire. So I don't know how exactly they might stack up or not, but having diverse rigs like DPS, actually damage, sheer damage, and a drone rate of fire, I think that's actually a good combination. So it's pretty much a no-brainer on how to use this fit. It's dumb, but it's not dumb because it works, and it provides you with an excellent amount of time in which to run several missions to get up your wallet and to, I don't know, do whatever you want with the ISK, whatever floats your boat. But this is an awesome way of farming in Highsec easy mode. That's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you guys for watching. Give a big shout out to my channel supporters, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.